All right, so allegedly we are streaming. Let me quickly confirm that. Okay. No data so far. If you can hear me and we are streaming, please let me know. Check the stream on your social platforms. Okay. All right, so we are allegedly live. All right, wonderful. Looks like that is a live stream for sure. Yay. Okay. Let's check it real quick on LinkedIn now. Let me know if the chat is working for you. Perfect. Great. Chat works. Wonderful. Thank you, Juan. Okay. Okay. Hi, Dominica. How's it going? Dominica? Dominica. Dominica, I think. All right, great. So let's quickly mute the YouTube portion. Great. Now, let's test OBS. So I should be switching back and forth now. Awesome. Looks like that's set. Okay. Minimize that. And for those who are interested, if you're watching on LinkedIn or YouTube, totally awesome. I get that you've got stuffs to do. But if you are interested, you could either also come to the community Discord. That'll just be scms.me/Discord. And you'll be able to actually like pop on this call with me. You can also go to the CMX live training as well, but I will let you know my commentary won't be included on that one. Over here, we get to be all like gnarly and whatnot. Over there, they're an official event, quote unquote. Okay. So switching back over here. Okay. Live streaming is a go. Move you over here. Oof. And let me know, is my camera wigging in and out at all, or? Wow, 2 cameras and a screen. Yeah, Juan, that's actually my master screen that I use in order to troubleshoot stuff. Wonderful. So I'm super excited to hear from y'all. Do you already know, have you already gone over the report at all? Okay. Toss my chat over here. And then we're going to go ahead and toss this here. Yeah, what did you think, Amanda? Anything interesting that you want to know more about? Internal live tweeting? Kind of wish I hadn't missed that, but I guess it's fair because it's internal. Okay. Bring up the actual event itself now. Sorry, just getting all of things forward. Looking forward to my thoughts. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting report, I think. I'm hoping that they'll do a bit of an overview of it, because especially with Edelman's Trust Barometer and the economic state of our business, I'm kind of concerned that a lot of business owners are kind of going to go the opposite direction with this report and just be like, oh, okay, all right, well then I guess funding communities is dead now. And I'm like, no, 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 no. We need more support from larger organizations, you know? Yeah, I agree. More commentary on graphs, 100%. Um, okay. So, what we should have, and is my audio okay coming from all of you? I'm a little bit concerned about my audio situation. Oh, hello. How's it going? How's your break? If you're not able to make it, totally fine. We'd be very happy to have you via recording on the YouTube channel. And of course, CMX will also publish this. And if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, shameless plug, we're also going to do a full review of the CMX report, a la the Edelman's Trust Barometer, which is already published there. Love to have you there. Yeah, answers are a bit slow because we're kind of on a bit of a delay is all. So basic, and this is from Amanda, everyone on LinkedIn. Basically, for me, the key thing was that layoffs have impacted community teams literally everywhere. And it just so happens that Orbit is focusing on community in a box, i.e. how to do part-time community supported by software. Yeah. I'm interested to see where that's going to go because community intelligence platforms have been trying to solve this primary issue of how do we collect and understand a larger community when it doesn't exist within the organization's marketing purview. And we've been focusing primarily on, okay, well, how do we use qualitative data? How do we use these AI features? But in all actuality, I think that the problem a lot of those businesses have is the marketing processes. Businesses just don't have the processes, the wherewithal, and the team necessary to really look beyond that capacity. And I like that community intelligence platforms are kind of solving that problem. And by virtue of us having created community intelligence platforms, we've discovered and been able to explore the problem. I'm interested to see where it's going to go as a whole, though. But yeah, I'm interested to see what Orbit and all of the other community intelligence platforms are going to do in order to pivot for that. I know that several of them are starting to build in more traditional Teams uses. So like a sales operator can actually log into Orbit or log into Common Room and be like, oh, okay, so here's what our community team is doing. Here's how these leads are coming in. Here's what value I personally find in it. And I love that it's expanding to the rest of the team. Do, do, do. Wow, my computer is slogging right now. So yesterday we launched a champions program. specifically for orbit. It's in the same direction of what you're saying. Yeah. Oh, this is going to be fascinating. I'm actually going to show this. Am I allowed to show this, Amanda? Looks like things are coming in a bit slowly. That's okay. You know what I could do is I could just pop over to the LinkedIn tab and see them come in on LinkedIn first. Ha 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 ha. And for those of you who are unaware, I am actually quite new to this streaming thing for sure. Normally I have a tech person on my own. Yeah, Dominica, the Discord channel can be found at scms.me/Discord. And then once you're in there, you can actually just pop into the main event stage. And I'm hoping that my audio will be okay as soon as desktop stuff comes in. Okay, it's in beta, yeah. Okay, yeah, no worries. Can I show the web page at least? Would you be interested in? All right. And for those interested, I also have the report up right now if you want to go over it with us. Super handy. I'll also share the link to the actual report that we're going to go over here in a bit as well. Property to Grazer. Where'd my OK button go? There it is. Okay. All right. Can you hear me better now? Can you hear me a little bit better now? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, hi, Latoya. How's it going? Awesome. Yeah, I'm new to the streaming thing, so please forgive a lot of the rife issues. I won't say they're rife for sure, but they're definitely pretty considerable, I would say. So, kind of moving in, what were some other people's polls from the actual report itself? What are you interested to hear? We only have about 7 minutes, which I'm pretty excited about. Oh, and it looks like we'll be able to join too.
It's just like slideshow.
Okay, wonderful. And how is the desktop audio, if you don't mind me asking?
It's a little stoned. Yeah, I'm gonna, let's see, let me try this again. Oh, now you're seeing presenters. Yeah, but the time.
Okay.
Okay, so
Let me know in the chat, can you hear the
okay, share screen.
reports, and in what proportion? Would you say that the desktop is too low, too high?
Now is it different? Or is it, oh, sorry, we need to actually share it. Well, that's better. It just has, okay. That's weird. I shared it the same way, or the same way. I think what I did is, here's the steps. You have to put it in slide view before you share it into Vimeo. That's awesome.
Okay, well, we have people trickling in, and so I'm gonna go ahead and play some music. I'm gonna turn my camera off. I'll be back at around 9:01 or so.
Should we turn up our camera too?
Yes, please.
Okay, perfect.
Can everyone hear the live stream okay? It's low. Okay. Yeah, I kind of figured that might be a thing. Let me go ahead and increase that audio a little bit then. Only hear me. Sound is very far away. That tells me something very interesting. Okay. That's interesting. So we have a primary stream detect. Okay. Okay, and how is that? It should be outputting both the desktop audio and the lavalier audio. You know what it might be? It could be this too. How's that? Can you hear their music okay? Ooh, and they're actually kind of quiet themselves. So here's a question. Let's say monitor and output. Okay. And I'm going to switch. Okay. So I'm going to switch this. There's going to be a little bit of an echo. Okay. Alright. We're working on it, Latoya. Thank you so much for that. Sounds pretty far back. Okay. So I'm looking at the desktop audio right now. I'm not getting anything from it now. That's fascinating. Let's turn it on all channels. Desktop audio. Okay, well, I figured something out apparently. Okay, so desktop audio must be coming out of. I want you to capture here. And then I want your outputs placed there. Okay, is that a little bit better? Let me really quick Google this.
Every day there's a boy in the mirror asking me, what are you doing here? Finding all my previous motives, growing increasingly unclear.
Okay, so it should be going to desktop.
I've traveled far and I've burned all the bridges. I believe as soon as I hit land, all the other
Okay, so let's give that a go. Can everyone hear me okay?
light of my
Hearing your voice and the music too. Awesome. Hey Aaron, how are you?
so I lose some sales and my boss won't be happy, but there's
Let's do this. Hey Jenny, how's it going?
searching boxes underneath the counter.
Awesome to hear.
Sit on the tape by
All right. And let's get that event detail to Jess. All right, we're super excited. We're getting started here in a moment. Copy. I'm so glad all of you have joined me for this. I'm super hyped. Awesome. It took me a bit for me to definitely get this down. Streaming is probably something I should spend a little bit more time learning, yeah?
homesick.
I know, right? We definitely need to talk. Like, absolutely. We should definitely stop and get some coffee. I actually have a whole bunch of interviews currently set up for like late May for the research that I'm doing on the 6 burdens of community growth. So I might be a little bit taken for like that late May period, but we should definitely meet. Unless you want to talk to me about community growth, I would love that too. And it looks like Hillary's in the CMX chat.
Welcome to today's event. My name is Susan Kang, and I'm the Senior Events Manager here with the CMX and Bevy team. And welcome once again to today's CMX Community Industry Report AMA. We're so excited to have you all here and to joining us. We have the next 45 minutes together where we're going to be hearing from our 2 speakers and a number of key insights from our industry report.
And you can hear them okay?
Time with Q&A. And just a few housekeeping remarks here. We're currently on the Bevy event platform, and please be sure to use the chat and introduce yourself if you haven't already. And also please note that this is indeed an AMA, so please be sure to use the Q&A tab, as this is
Agreed, Hassan.
after the ending session, and so we'll be sure to look
Yeah, oftentimes I tend to struggle a bit with giving myself credit for my lived experience, you know?
be recorded and
I find that people tend to go one way or the other. They're either like really, really hardcore on being like, in order for me to be called an expert, I have to actually do the thing. And then other people are like, I haven't learned any of this. I've just been doing it by my own devices. So oftentimes it's one of those things where you just have to remind yourself that both lived and learned experience are valid.
cool and more, and you will also have a chance to meet other community builders just like yourself. So winners will be announced after the event, and I'll pin the website website link in our chat if you'd like to check more information.
Free CMX tickets.
With that said, I'm so happy to introduce our host and our first speaker.
I wonder if they'd be willing to give me a ticket to raffle off on the YouTube channel. I think that'd be really cool.
You can show yourself. Thanks so much for joining and leading today's session.
Hi, thank you, Susan. It's great to be here with you today. I'm really excited to go over the community industry report. Excuse me, today I'm getting over a cold, so bear with me if I'm a little hoarse or maybe have to cough a little bit. But the person that is going to share this with me today is actually the woman that's been behind helping us out with the last 4 reports. And I really want to showcase with this report a little bit about the storytelling of like why we asked questions, why we started to investigate things this year, and a little bit about what we're thinking about for future surveys, future data. And so I want to bring on Michelle Lynn. This is Michelle Lynn, who's the founder of Mantis Research. And the community industry report has been around for 5 years. The first year David did all himself, and I'm still amazed. But then the last 4 years, Michelle has been helping us with this. And I just want to say Michelle is really passionate about doing research and quality research and also research around community. And so I feel fortunate she's a partner in this, and I want you all to meet her because she's such a great person to connect with. And she really believes in the value of the data that we're bringing to our community industry. So without much further ado, this is Michelle Lynn. I'm going to bring on our slides in a second here. So Michelle,
I haven't heard of Michelle, but like I did a quick looky-loo, and she looks really awesome and impressive.
Much for the kind words. This is one of my favorite projects I work on every year. I love the team. I love the topic. So yeah, Jess and I are excited and bring on your questions.
all right, and so this is the 5th annual Community Industry Trends Report. And I was really excited to actually, for my first year, help out in creating this report. I was a CMX member long before I was inside the CMX machine. And I use this report every year to just really validate my thoughts on where the community I was running needed to go. I validated it with senior leadership.
My Discord crashed.
You know, wonderful to have this as a tool, and I hope everybody's excited about what we found out this year.
And y'all, it looks like they're actually asking for questions as well. So if you're not like Jenny and totally dual devicing it, shoot your questions into the chat, and then I'll move them over for you.
Create this report this year. We're helping us out in the background. Common Room, Discourse, Microsoft Teams, Better Mode, Khoros, and Hyper. Thank you for your support on our industry report this year. So let's get into it. The 2 big words, the words that just came glaring out of this report were contraction and commitment. And they seem like these words shouldn't work together. Like, it doesn't seem like these are the things that make sense together, but I love that these were the things that surfaced because they're really meaningful and it really shows us where we can go. What were some of your thoughts on the big findings this year?
Yeah, and it was so interesting because again, we've been doing this for so many years, and you're going to see a lot of these themes come up again as you and I are talking. But it was interesting that we are seeing that for the first time ever, we're seeing that the community industry is shrinking in some respects, like team sizes and things of that nature. But what we saw was that one question we started asking last year was, do you think that how successful is your community at impacting business goals? And last year, 43% said they were very or extremely successful at that. But this year, that number was up to 50% of you. So even though things are getting harder, more of you are having success. So I just think it just speaks to the commitment.
Things are getting harder, but more of us are having success. I think that's really interesting.
The best possible job that they can.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it. We saw that community teams are shrinking for the first time. We saw that, people are doing more. They're not just working community, they're working on other teams. You know, people have fewer moderators, and organizations seem less likely to increase
I
their
think that also says a lot about the integration of a lot of community teams, because we've had community teams reduce and other roles in the company have started to take on community centered roles. I think that might be a good thing for the restructuring of businesses around community impact.
I just love that those two words were what surfaced for us, and it's really I'm excited about what this year holds for us as a community industry. And just a little bit about our methodology. So this is based on responses of 425 people, and these people completed the online survey between January and February this year.
425 isn't a lot. I'd be interested to see what the breakdown is.
These haven't changed too much year over year, but this is like where people come from, the number of employees they have at their companies, or if they're a contractor or
Yeah,
consultant.
y'all, my Discord just crashed, so.
The communities, the type of focus that they have. And then we're both going to go over the sort of key community industry trends that we saw. These are like the key things that came out. And you'll notice that we kind of used a little hashtag at the top to notate. Notate
Oh,
these,
that's
and
good to
you'll
know.
see throughout the
Whoops,
presentation.
thanks, Sandra.
You'll see those specific things come up in the data. And so the first thing is uncertainty. Community professionals are a little bit uncertain with what's been happening in our industry. 44% believe their organization will be increasing investment, but that's also down from last year. That was 62%. And 59% of us, this is a lot, and this really shows like how
Yeah.
that contraction.
More than half of us, 1 out of every 2 of us, and that definitely doesn't help given the context of COVID. There's like virtually no one is actually in their established roles that they were in prior to the pandemic. It's tumultuous, for
You
sure.
wanna tell us about this next one?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, I feel like we're starting off with all of the negative, but it's going to get much more positive. But like we alluded to, what we're seeing for the first time ever, every other year it was a story of growth, bigger teams, and so forth. But for the first time ever, we're seeing that these community teams are actually shrinking. Teams are getting smaller. You're being asked to do more, and we're also finding that some of the things that were actually led by your communities are actually currently in house. So this was a huge trend that we're seeing. Just you're asked to do, I hate the term more with less, but you're asked to do more with less.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And then our
rough.
next one, they're not all negative. Impactful. Really, communities we're still having a positive effect on business.
Amanda, the way, and this is on LinkedIn, the way I've been talking about this internally is that it's just similar to other disciplines in a context of low funding. I do ops, meaning I do part-time HR, part-time finance, accounting, content, community, and it's all possible because processes are super tight and the software solutions allow for it. Yeah, AI is definitely going to really blow up in the course of automations for sure. Part-time community. Oof. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that, because I do think it's very important that our part-time community members are explicitly trained in a specific part of community. Just because you're part-time doesn't mean you get to wear all of the hats, right? And also you can't be super selective about that. Like, you have to have a measurement marketer and a engagement marketer, for instance, someone to run the ads, to build the copy, create the creative, but also someone to run the internal machinations and make sure all the ROI comes through. I think that we might experience the same thing in community.
But they're not working well enough. You don't have exactly the right tools in the right.
Oh, and they're talking about exactly that. 30% of communities are using more than 5 tools. Yeah. And this isn't just in community either. This is also happening in marketing and especially in customer success. But yeah, Amanda, I totally agree with you there.
And then, hybrid. We really wanted to kind of connect with hybrid. And
That's an important question.
the pandemic. And I think so many communities really see it as a powerful way to connect globally in ways that you can't with in person. In person is still, where we love to go. I mean, I'm so looking forward to the summit. We're like deep in the planning mode for summit, and I love it because I'm going to see so many people one on one. And we can't replace that, but virtual and hybrid are not going to that.
And then lastly, this is a new area that we dug into this particular year. And something that we just said we want to do even more of this in coming years, but we wanted to learn more about you, the actual professional doing this work. So, what we asked, one of the questions we asked was, do you plan to stay in this industry? And we had 2/3 of you who said you do. Many more were uncertain.
Yeah, I agree. Can you go a little bit more in depth into what you mean by a community mindset? I think that that's a fantastic area to dive deeper, especially when it comes to we as community members. We take this abundance mindset, right? But what is the language that's really going to convince a CEO to do that?
I'm a community person. Yeah, I'm a community person. I've been doing it for years.
Sufficient budget and staff to make an impact. I think that that's also got a lot of power involved in it.
Talk about the sections of the report, and the first one was the community professional. And a lot of these questions we've asked before, but we definitely went into new territory this year. And so the profile of the community professional. I'm a full-time employee. I spend 100% of my time.
Let me know in the chat, which one are you?
2% of you. So still a majority of us are doing
How
that.
would you answer
But
these?
what were some of the changes that you really saw happening this year, Michelle?
From the actual profile of who we surveyed.
Yeah.
So they're coming up in future slides, but this is a really similar mix to what we have.
I think it's interesting that we're seeing that percentage increase for community consultants and freelancers.
On community, and even when we always track years of experience, each year we're always seeing we have more and more people becoming more experienced as a community professional, which only makes sense. But obviously there's a lot of new people in the industry as well. 29% of you have fewer than 2 years of experience. So it's a great mix of a sample of those who are up and coming as well as those who've been doing it for a really long time.
Yeah. And then, what option best describes your level? Manager, community manager really came out ahead. And then, what is the best title that aligns with how you view yourself? 68% community builder, community professional. And
Just
then,
as a really quick note on that, Jess.
No,
I
go-
thought it was interesting. The year before last, we actually did a writing question. We wanted to see what people's titles were. And community professional came out on top, which is zero surprise. But it was interesting.
I love that we're moving away from community manager. I really love this idea that people are starting to specialize in their careers and say, this is exactly what I am. This is what I can offer for your community. Please keep your KPIs to that scope of work, like we're getting community architects, coordinators, facilitators, moderators. All of these things are starting to now formalize into actual job positions, similar to the way that it worked in marketing.
Where are people saying that? There was actually an
Full-time employee, 100% of my time on community, years of experience 5 to 7.
translations actually
Yeah,
a little bit.
I'm not surprised.
And so I just thought that was interesting. It's just okay, a little bit more international, other language view of it. Is people, does it translate the same? So that's another question for next year.
And are the answers actually coming in pretty slow maybe? I don't know.
69% female.
It would be weird that we're on a delay like that.
And 29% male.
I can check that out.
Ethnicity, people who identify as white at 69%, and then Hispanic or Latino, Latina, Latinx coming in second at 11%, Black or African descent at 6%. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but it's just interesting to kind of see how our makeup changes, stays the same year to year.
This hasn't shifted much year to year.
Yeah. And then, what country do you live in? I want to give a special shout out to Juan and everybody from Colombia. I know you guys like put a special effort to really all do the survey, and it showed Colombia came in at 3% here. It's interesting to see where we're growing again and changing here. But USA is 57% of the respondents. Right?
Radical bias, the good kind.
And then this is kind of going into what do we do besides what else?
Amanda,
And most of us are
community
doing
builders will have to prioritize activities according to business impact. Yeah. I mean, your job is no longer going to be build a community. Your job is going to be build a community infrastructure, manage engagement, connect, like it's very, very specific ROI values. Just like SEO, for instance, people are like, I'll manage your technical SEO and website construction versus I'll write you 10 high converting blogs on Google.
What does this actually mean?
You know.
Are a community professional?
Just people in the US, it looks like there is a pretty significant shift into the US, but yeah, they did just mention that Colombia was pretty heavily mentioned. I am a little worried because it is only 425 people.
and what they're kind of indicating.
Yeah, you're right, Hassan.
Of, like where else we can invest. And then our salary data. You can see like it's interesting. It's like everything is going up. I don't know percentage-wise year over year if there was as much of a percentage jump this year. One of the things do you want to
I think everything is going up because inflation is going up. I'm not entirely sure. Like, these are all six-figure incomes for sure.
We didn't have enough, so we're always looking for the segments where we have a big enough sample size to share, and we just started collecting this data in 2022. So this is our.
I love that she mentioned that. Yeah.
Over time. But one of the things that we saw this year, which was surprising, and like Jess said, we didn't put in the report, was that community professionals who work within a marketing department were paid more than others who worked as part of an actual dedicated community department or team.
Oh man, I believe that 100%.
We need to dig into that more. There's so many, obviously, with salary.
Let me know in the chat, why do you think that is? Why are community managers nested in marketing paid more than community managers in independent teams?
That jumped out at us when we were analyzing this year's.
I have some ideas, but I'd love to hear yours.
Stuff to dig deeper into. And then we talked about like what's important about your job, what satisfies you. And yes, salary is important, but I just love that like having an impact is really important. Leadership that trusts me to do my job, flexible work schedule. So it's like
I like how they just glossed over the 80% flexible work schedule.
Not the only thing that really draws us to this type of job. And I love that this really shows up in the data. And then this is where we're sort of digging into new territory this year, since we wanted to acknowledge and pay attention to the layoff and things that are happening here. And 12% of community professionals have been laid off in the last 2 years. Now, it'd be interesting to compare the data like overall with other industries, but this is having a significant impact on the work we do and our colleagues and the people we care about that we're doing this work together.
Yeah. Remote work has become so important, and a lot of people are just refusing to go in. I think the tumultuarity of the workforce is causing businesses to make changes, and the businesses aren't really too sure what the financial output of that work is going to be. So a lot of them are panicking, really, and it's not boding very well with us being a lot more forthright and sturdy about what we want out of our jobs.
Do you want to share the quote? I love this quote.
Yeah. So one of the things we did this year is we asked.
Yeah, Amanda, great point out. Yeah, they're understood to contribute to the same acquisition as the marketing team.
There's additional quotes in the report. I know you guys can do a lot more with this data because there's so much that people love, but here's one that really struck us. I really love helping folks and creating a space that is diverse, inclusive, and friendly. Also, being a community professional is rewarding creatively. There are lots of different things you can do and lots of interesting problem solving involved. I love taking feedback from the community and trying to use it to improve our platform and all the things we offer. And there was a lot of positive. This is just one quick example, but there were so many positive things about why people love being here in this industry.
I do think it's interesting that there's a 22% that say they're not sure if community is going to be there. I wonder if that has anything to do with the fact that a lot of those people might not be aware of exactly what role they serve in their business. Because as a community professional, whether or not you're successful and how vague that is might have some impact for sure. I love that. Stacy Stringfellow in the chat. Community feels like home, and I love being at home. I love that.
How are communities working with inside of organizations? So these are questions.
Ooh, this is the fun one. This is the spicy section.
Approximately how long has your organization's community existed? 13% of people say that it's been less.
Yeah.
Less than 1
And
year.
I mean, coming from a marketing background, I also recognize that I get paid more as a community consultant because I do have that background in measurement marketing and I do have that focus on making sure that the numbers are there. So I wonder if it also has something to do with advocating for ourselves better because we grew up in a marketing standpoint as opposed to sales and support, which are further down the funnel, and they spend a lot less time with those more ethereal metrics.
And every year we see that the most common stage of growth is scaling. So people, even though we all have all of these new communities coming in, we have a lot of people who are trying to build.
You know, if you're scaling an existing community right now, I want to hear from you. I actually have on my contact page on my site, I have a request for me to interview you if you are in a community that is right about to scale, scaling right now, or has finished scaling. I actually love to do a follow-up interview with you for scaling on that existing community. I'll actually pop that in the chat.
And we always look at the other, and we always change this list based on feedback that we get from survey participants. The one new entry we added this year was partners, and we see that 42% of people, so they have partners who participate in their communities. This data is pretty consistent year over year. Customers and employees always top this list. Although we did see employees even grow a little bit more than normal. So I think it's just interesting to see, this seems to be another place that we can really dig into is what do these employee communities look like?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to ask some more questions around that.
So this, I know this is a table and it's hard to like make sense of it from first blush, but here's what this table is unfortunately telling us.
Hard to make sense of the table at first blush. I love that they used blush colors.
And as you can see, the line that says one, we have one person on our team. This was going down every single year, except this year it popped up and it's the highest ever. So 1/3 of our communities have just one person on their team. So we're seeing more teams that have just one person. And on the back end, we're seeing fewer teams that have 6 or more people working on their team. So this is a really clear sign that the community teams are shrinking in size. Here we asked, what department is your community team part of? As we saw last
That might also have something to do with the higher number too. If marketing is 1/3 and 1/3 of those individuals are receiving a higher amount, you could expect that the salary income adjustments would trend more toward marketing in the first place.
decrease in those who said they have a dedicated community team.
You know, it does also occur to me, I wonder if because community-driven companies are relatively small, they're getting paid less on the whole because the companies themselves are smaller when they started with the community department on their own. Maybe that's another option to look into. I don't know. We would have to actually filter the data.
Interesting question. So last year we started asking the question, what type of work is your community team doing? Do you have a full-time person doing this? Do you have a part-time person doing this? Or is nobody doing this in your organization? And these are things like engaging directly with the community, focusing on operations, developing education and training, and so forth. And what we found, this is the second year we asked this question, is that in almost every case, we are seeing that there's fewer people who have a dedicated person full-time person to do every single one of these activities. So it makes sense in the context of, this data we just looked at about community teams shrinking, but you can also see in every single specific role that these roles are actually, that people are asked to do.
18 community managers in total and would still hire more in a heartbeat.
Running chapters.
Where do you work? Wow.
In total. But even though they haven't had a year-over-year percentage change.
In before open source.
But again, the big point of this is everyone is being asked to do more.
Yep.
Oh, no one was like
I
other.
wish it was
Awesome.
different, but I mean, again, yeah, it's where we are, and we always want to be transparent.
Oh, this would be wonderful. I kind of want to do a series on this. What are your top frustrations about managing your community and its activities? Maybe I could actually do like a video on the YouTube channel tackling each of these problems. Because difficulty to consistently engage members, like that's a huge aspect, right? But there's also like efforts are largely manual. We can talk about automation there. Lack of budget. I'm going to screenshot this real quick. I know that it's already in the report, but like just to remind myself.
As it once was.
Yeah, and it's it's also an indicator
Screenshot
of,
that.
where we as community professionals really should put our efforts. Is like in that quantification.
What would you say is your biggest one on this list?
I always feel like I roll my eyes at that. Is like it's complicated and it's hard
It's
for all
really
of us.
complicated. And for what it's worth, I know, Jess, you're going to read a quote in a second, but again, our top challenge every single year is it's difficult to consistently engage members. And so
Oh, gaming industry. Yeah, Yana's in the gaming industry. Of course she has 18
helpful to use
community managers.
all your tips for actually engaging your community. So
Yeah.
Jess, I need a good tip to read.
And we had so many great tips, and also in the report there's more, and I'd love to also tabulate all of them and have them available. But this was just a really nice, concise one. Be consistent. It takes time to build momentum and to build trust and familiarity. Don't keep trying and scrapping new things. Have a well thought out strategy and keep at it. That doesn't mean.
Yeah. So this is one of the things that I say all of the time. All of community management falls into setting precedent. I think that I want to do this thing because it'll be healthier, and then building momentum until they do it. And the only way to do that is to benchmark and then forecast your community.
Where's the results? Where's the results? And it's like communities work at the speed of human trust. And it's like how can we better quantify that for our leadership? And so now we're going into some of the things around automating community. These are some of the questions we asked this year that was new. We wanted to kind of find out who's using automation and aggregation tools. And, what is valuable and also, sometimes frustrating, like other is the top one. So we aren't actually finding the one that people are using because I don't think there is. We're spread all over the place in these kind of tools. They're
Ooh.
valuable.
Oh, Amanda, I want to hear your opinion on this one for sure. Do you use any of the following automation aggregation tools?
The category, we did get some responses.
You're pretty high up on that list for sure.
Tables, Salesforce,
1 in 5.
Higher Logic, HubSpot, Google Spreadsheets. I've got spreadsheets.
Yeah, we found the same thing. Manual effort is huge. So far, Orbit and Common Room have focused on helping with data gathering, but managing programs continues to be heavily manual because it's very relationship focused. And messaging leads to absolute spreadsheet hell. Yeah, I agree with that. But one of the things that we are taught in data analysis is that there are 3 specific areas of data analysis that you can specialize in, and each one should require its own tool. So the first one is collection, right? Like obviously you need the ability to collect the data, understand what's happening, and then after that you have to store the data. And once you have that storage, you can choose a data lake, but that data lake eventually has to be organized and structured into a data warehousing function. And then after that is your reporting function. And one of the things that I'm really, really loving about Google's approach to this is that all 3 of these tools are being considered completely different specializations. You have people specializing in Google Analytics 4, which is all about the storage of the data. But then you have people specializing in the Looker Studio, which is all about data analysis and reporting. And then when it comes to data collection and architecture, well, that's Google Tag Manager. And I love that that same infrastructure is also being shared in open source communities with Bitergia. You have Grimoire Lab, which moves into Percival, and then Percival moves into their other systems in order to manage that. And it's creating this flow chart that allows us to really connect and understand what tools go to what portion of the process. I think that's interesting. I also think that it might be a little bit too structured for community, but it's working.
What kinds of programs does your community host or offer? Forums and message boards, live events, conferences and other events, chat, and
That's why we started leaning into an app program management system, starting with Champions, where you can do it all end to end inside of Orbit. That's very interesting. I wonder if you have that collection, storage, and then analysis architecture yourselves. Is that something that you started mirroring in your own?
that I don't always see us exploring or bringing into community. Like, how does it integrate better?
And if there are other types of programs you want us to, everyone out there wants us to start looking into, like let us know. We love to track, all of these different things and these new ways that people are actually building community, what they're posting.
I do think it's interesting here that self-paced courses is above cohort-based learning. That's really crazy to me because virtually all cohort-based learning has a higher success rate than self-paced courses. That having been said, I also have self-paced and cohort courses. And for me, at least, the cohorts are significantly more successful than the self-paced ones.
So those people who are using online forums and message boards, one of the key trends that
What can I say? Yeah, we're 3 on CMX's report. We're also higher than email according to Hoopy.
said they were doing
Yeah.
in-house.
Our masterclass in structuring community data is pretty freaking rad. I really want to take that. We should definitely set something up for that. We should do like a trade or something. I think that would be so cool.
Being moved in-house, which is that was one of the biggest shifts that we actually saw year over year.
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to look into that.
this year.
On a similar note, we always ask about how many moderators people have for their forums and message boards, and as you can see this year, about a third of you say that you only have one moderator. Last year, it was 26%. So again,
I would really like to see a psychological analysis of moderators put on a scale of the number of moderators employed. I'd really like to see if there is a percentage average where that moderator doesn't just burn out, but also experiences like emotional trauma, because I know that on Facebook they have to have a lot of them, and moderators aren't allowed to work 8-hour shifts. They have to work 5-hour shifts with like several days put toward like community support in order to manage their mental health.
and we are seeing
I'd be interested to see what happens when you only have one moderator.
we're seeing declines in people who are using, custom built in-house solutions, and we're seeing declines in people who use Salesforce and Twitter communities. So it's been really interesting to see, which platforms people
Oh,
are
that's interesting.
across all users.
Tell me your thoughts because there's more of a top-down process suggestion. It harvests data and then stores it in a structured feed.
Next slide, we're gonna talk about
Oh,
how
that's,
people are.
huh.
Even though not that
I think that's interesting.
this is the platform where the highest percentage of users
Because your analysis is actually included in that same spot.
growing, you can definitely see people
Huh.
are
I would like to see how that works, for sure.
I'm just going to call out Slack, which most people use. 63% of you guys are feeling very, it's very meh. You guys are somewhat satisfied. So even though
I like the large amount of somewhat satisfied in Discord. Discord is such a difficult platform to build for.
These are the questions around events and community. And we asked what type of events did you host for your community? 90% hosted virtual, 59% in person, and then 34% were hybrid. But what
Hybrid is hard.
We talked about where do you see where do you see the value in it? And for business impact, in-person events definitely went out. You know, but better for the community are virtual events because they're more accessible by more people in more places. Um, you know, like better for one-on-one connection, you know, in person. um, and again, but then kind of going with better for community, better for diverse audiences, it's definitely virtual events.
One really quick note on this too, Jess. What we saw year over year is an increase in those using hybrid events, an increase in those using in-person events, zero surprise. But virtual event was 90% last year and it was 90% this year. So even though people are using more in-person and hybrid, they're not using less virtual. It's just become part of the programming.
Yeah, yeah. And then what's the primary platform you're using to host these events? I mean, you know, Zoom is definitely the one that's increasing, but it's interesting to see that like there's you know, still 25% are on another platform, and you know, people are using Eventbrite, but is that like where you're hosting the RSVP? Where do you actually host the?
Yana in the chat, Facebook groups need to retire already.
What's increased here? What's decreased here? And you know, it'd be interesting, you know, also to see which one of these we were the most satisfied with as well. And here we go. So similar to the platform we did, like, you know, which ones were the most satisfied with. And, you know, it's interesting that, you know, Zoom, we're more or less.
I think it's interesting that we're not seeing butter on here because butter has been universally regarded as like one of the best higher quality ones, but it's not been regarded as overly popular. And I am kind of curious. I would love to know why.
People are fairly satisfied with it, but, you know.
What kind of platforms do you think are missing on this list?
How many, where are we hosting, you know, what are we hosting on Google Hangouts? Is that working better? You know, I don't know. It'd be interesting.
My preferred platform is actually Google Hangouts, if I'm honest, because it just mixes so well with any other feature that I want. If I want to do a Google form, Google Hangouts allows it. It's just so nice and easy for me as a consultant.
With the moderation is a lot of these are now coming in-house, where we might have been contracting or using a service to host them elsewhere. These are all coming in-house again. And then like which teams are responsible for managing your events. You know, there's a huge increase in like community is managing these events.
Yeah. People are discovering that community curated content begins with gatherings and ends with artifacts of those gatherings. So of course it's slowly becoming more and more a community management requirement. I do think it's interesting, though, that there is a significant overlap between community management and event management.
There has been an increase. So as we saw on the slide, you know, everyone is still doing, 90% still doing virtual, but we're doing more in person, more hybrid. So there's just more. So I think this is just getting spread out across all of these different.
Oh, that's a really good point. I bet it has to do with security on vendor reviews.
How that looked.
Yeah.
And then, like, how long has your community had community-led events? It's interesting to see the spread here. Like, fewer than 6 months, people are still definitely kind of jumping on and bringing these into their community.
I turned off my camera somehow. Whoops.
Like, we've had these for
Good to know.
years. Like, what have you learned? How have you adapted in this new landscape? And then, like, you know, do you plan on launching a community-led event program in 2023? 28% yes, 38% no, and then we're still kind of unsure. Like, it seems like this one's a little, like, spread out between all of those.
I wonder if this has a lot to do with the definition of quote-unquote community-led, because there was a big fight there between ComSor, Feverbee, and there was one other company about what exactly community-led actually means.
We added a new option this year based on.
I say fight. It was a spirited social argument likely intended to drum up attention. No, probably not. They weren't probably attention grabbing, but it's a genuine question, right? Like, what exactly does this community-led feature actually mean?
Are sharing product feedback. and evangelizing or making referrals to products. But it's interesting to track all of this over time to see what's changing. One other
Yeah, I also think, and I have a review of Priya's book coming out eventually. I have so many books I need to do before that. But one of the things that I liked about Priya's book is that she makes a very clear distinction between what a gathering is and what a continued space is intended for. And that really jives well with anthropology, because in anthropology there's this concept of your culture is a context, the way that your community responds and interacts with one another day to day. Over time, your context grows, develops, and builds upon itself to become the mass culture. And that's kind of how I viewed Priya's understanding of a gathering versus a prolonged community space.
Programs can we as CMX offer? What workshops can we offer? What conversations can we host? Because I don't want this to slip anymore. Just
Ooh,
wanna try
okay,
to-
let's talk about DEI. I'm sorry, I'm paying attention, I promise. Paying a lot of attention to the chat.
And I do want to be mindful, we are kind of at the 45-minute mark. Let's, I don't want to race through this part, but let's get through this so we can get some questions in. There's just so much to talk about, and I love talking to Michelle about this. So we really want to talk about like, the business value of the community. And, you know, I have to admit, we tried to get in more questions here, but the survey just became long, astronomically long. And so we had to cut some things. But what that's indicating, and what Michelle and I have been talking about, is what other surveys or
That
research-
DEI slide, though.
Because maybe this needs to become its own survey. Maybe we need to talk about this differently. And, you know, maybe what that's saying to us is that community industry report needs to have, you know, needs to differentiate itself into distinct parts that we do throughout the year. Now, this
That's
is-
an interesting idea. I think if they were to do that, we need to have the community industry report come out Q1, and then we should have maybe one miniature survey
Some of us think that
come out each quarter after that. And I would love if the business value of community came out in Q3, right as people were putting together all of their New Year plans.
I would love to see how we can do that.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna
I agree.
You know, 50% of you report.
And for those of you who do have time after this, keep in mind that in my community Discord, which is sems.me/discord, you'll be able to access the Discord, and we're actually going to pop into the network and hangout chat, and we're actually going to talk more about this. I don't think that it's necessarily going to be recorded, but I would absolutely love to talk about your opinions in my community Discord.
Something you have been tracking with David over time.
Yeah, this is David's model. The Spaces model used to be Space, then it became Spaces. And again, you can look at this data in the report. But we've always been tracking what the top objective for community is, and to see how that actually changes over time.
I like that.
Came up in the list this year, which makes sense because people are trying to use community to acquire new people because times are tougher. But we can definitely dig into this more, but I think that's the key takeaway from here.
Yeah. And this is something that's in the report, and I would love people to deep dive a little bit. This is just like the top metrics.
Oh my god, it's a bulleted list of all of the metrics people use. I will deep dive into this because for my metrics dashboard, I could easily move all of these onto that dashboard. That might be really helpful.
Am I kind of on track with what others are doing as well? And then health of your community. Like, what are the top metrics? You know, that we're all tracking. So, number of active members is up there, total members, number of new members, number of posts. These are kind of ranked in how important.
My keyboard stopped working.
Have these changed much over time?
So all we are seeing this year,
Why did my keyboard stop working?
So we're seeing few people.
Okay, well, my keyboard stopped working.
number of content pieces, which makes sense because there's fewer people writing, number of events and web traffic to the community. So all of those were down. Otherwise, it's pretty similar year over year.
Yeah. And then how often do you send a community survey? This is another thing where I want to kind of go,
All right.
us, community industry,
Well, that's a thing.
let's try to do better on this because we don't send a community health survey and hey, CMX needs to do it too. 39% of us don't. And I think we need to start understanding this better about our
Yeah.
And those who
Hands down, totally agree.
Community health surveys, just quick heads up.
And then, you know, this is significant too. The financial value of community. Only a small percentage, 12% of us, can actually say the financial value of our community. That's still really small. We're still trying to figure
Yeah.
it out.
12% for financial value.
I want to ask questions here. Does how we're tracking ROI currently really reflect it? Like, are there things like surprise and delight that we can try to figure out and quantify? Consistency, rituals, other things that are happening in our communities that we can figure out how to showcase to leadership to really show the value of what's going on in our communities. All right. So this is kind of me at the end of the report. This is what in my experience.
Uh-oh. What happened? Did we lose it? Oh no.
What can we do with this report? What can we do with this data?
Okay, we're good. We're here.
The two big words, contraction and commitment. Where are they leading?
I just want to give them a quick kudos on this. I love that they're ending this with this statement. Like, the Edelman's Trust Barometer just felt so lost. We have no idea how to solve this trust problem on a global scale. And now we're looking at this industry trends report, and people are like, okay, we need action items, but those action items should not be decided independently. We need to decide as an industry where we go from here.
And create common definitions, create common curriculum. Like,
Totally agree.
A lot of us out there going like, on this trend, going like, I see it. You know, we're in the same
Yeah.
zeitgeist.
Common curriculums. I love that. Rosie Sherry is actually working on an open source curriculum that I do plan on adopting, by the way.
This idea that we can come together, that we can co-create some of these documents, and you know, shift some of the things in our data that we don't like the trend. Come together to tell a better story about ROI. Those are, you know, I'm excited to see where we go. This report was really interesting for me to do with Michelle, and I loved some of the insights that I was not expecting, and I love some of the questions we were able to ask. Anything you want to add to that?
You know, they just posted about the after event discussion. It's entirely plausible we're going to get some people popping in on the Discord.
For next year, I mean, always interested in that. Like, where can we dig in more? You know, would love feedback.
All right, I think we can open it for Q&A.
Awesome. All right.
Awesome. If you have any big questions or anything like that for Q&A, I'd love to get them in. And I know that they can't go through all of this, so I think that what I might do is just pull all of these questions and maybe do some content.
Discussion after that discussion. So I posted the link in the chat just so that you have that. But let me go ahead and take a look in our Q&A tab, and I'm just going to go by the most liked, most liked question here. All right. So Vinny is asking, some senior leadership members.
All right, I'm going to shut down the Discord specifically and pop in a network and hang out.
What metrics?
Let me know if audio gets weird here.
And sometimes standard metrics of engagement don't paint a full picture of company success.
Insufficient disk space.
I'm still asking this question.
So real.
I don't know. Do you have initial thoughts on that, Michelle?
I mean,
Uh-oh.
and you're- my
Did something just crash?
Is to figure out what objective are you driving towards, and looking at the objectives that people use to measure that specific objective. What the report doesn't do, but we could certainly do in future years, is look at which metrics, like those who are new to community are using versus those who are, more sophisticated.
Oh, and my Discord just crashed. I predicted it. I knew it'd happen.
I mean, it's almost. I would rather head people towards communities we think are running well and how they're achieving their person kind of getting out there and like what are the data points you really need. I mean, I think Richard Millington always lays that out very well, because when you're building a community, it's like new membership, but it might also be like it's the small things, like maybe somebody does a little emoji. It's the little things, because community needs to build that trust, and it doesn't happen overnight. It needs, you need to watch those small incremental changes, like the emoji that people are doing. Like, when are people consistently logging on? Are people consistently logging on?
I can't believe y'all crashed my Discord. How does that happen? I also recognize that I am doing a ridiculous amount of stuff right now.
React right away. They don't even know what to do yet. So you need to help lead them on like how to involve themselves in the community.
I'm going to close the Orbits Champions page real quick. I would love to be involved in that, though.
I like your quote, community works at the speed of trust. What is a longer way to say that to a boss who asks us, where are the results? How do we convince them to embrace your quote?
I think that's an important question. How would you share that? What words would you use to convince a CEO that?
I would love to see the community industry dig a bit deeper into social sciences. Benya, I think we're speaking, we're on the same track here, we're speaking the same language. Because social sciences will give a lot of the data and understanding of how people work. Because that's what we're trying to navigate with this
Okay.
is how does the human being actually
Discord
work?
gonna work.
Like, how do they like to talk to each other? How do they like to meet each other? Is somebody more of an introvert or an extrovert? Meaning, like, how do they recharge? Do they like to put themselves forward, or do they like to hang back and kind of see what happens and then insert themselves? It's like we need to be able to quantify how a human works and then extrapolate that into like communities work at the speed of trust. It's like I still, do not like Field of Dreams, the movie, like you build it, they will come, because I feel like leadership has embraced that idea, and they need to embrace the idea of building communities at the speed of trust, and we'll work on that. Those are the ideas I want to dig in deeper to, because like how can we present that in a very understandable, easy to digest way to leadership?
And as a quick note to that too, make sure that you are doing your health surveys and make sure that you are.
So apparently, and this is my update to all of you, my Discord has failed to update. Very fantastic.
I think the stat about the lack of diversity was the most surprising, and for everyone here. So, Christiane.
And if anyone is commenting right now, I don't know why, but it's really struggling.
The lack of diversity, or the lack of diversity kind of focused work?
It could be one, could go both ways, I think.
Yeah.
Because there were
You on
people in
LinkedIn?
the chat who shared their personal story about saying, I don't see other people like myself in the community. So let's take it both ways. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's upon
Okay.
us to do the work. Like, diversity work is an actionable process. Like, it's active. So I think so much of it is like, oh, we can make a diversity statement, and then we're fine. But it's actually like looking at your membership and going like, who's here and who's not here, and like who feels permission to be here and who hasn't been sort of like, given permission, not given permission, but like shown the pathway to permission. Like some people just like, they don't see themselves, so it's not the space for them. And you actually have to like actively reach out and go like, I would like to create a better place for you. here, and I see value in having you here, both for you and for the community. Um, what are things that are barriers to entry? Um, maybe there's even little things like the pictures you're using to showcase your community. Are you are you showcasing enough diversity in those? So somebody's like, oh,
I love where my
and
stats are right
it's an
now.
active, it's an active thing that you're doing, and it's not upon those who are missing to do the action. It's upon those who are there
I'm just
to
trying to fix
notice
my Discord
what's
right
missing
now.
and actively
TBH.
reach out.
And I can't remember if it was this year. I know it was last year. But we might have asked the same question this year as well. I would need to look, but we have write-ins for the question: how do you help underrepresented people in your community? So that's another place that we can mine for other ideas too.
Awesome. All right, I think we can probably take one more question here. Take a look. Tony's asking, I'd like to know how other stakeholders outside of the community view the value of community. Any thoughts right there for that one?
Now, I would love to do an entirely different survey. That's a whole different audience. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I love the question.
Yeah, I love the question too, and I think that is research that we need to understand. Is like, is it
So let me quit
mysterious?
that.
Is it like I don't quite
Not
know what the
using Zoom
view
right
is? I
now.
think it's cool. I mean,
It's definitely a niche industry, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, what I think we need to look at is ways to do community or company-wide community fostering. I mean, that's what I did at a previous community. Is I mean, I actually wrote like how-to manuals for every department there, and like these are the things that are of value that you can bring to the community. And then I was lucky enough that at that company we had like a bonus thing. I could attach that to bonuses. I had a like a one up there. Like I had some ability to do that, but you could gamify it. Like, who's the team that does the
Did my
most
Discord
promotion in the community?
uninstall itself?
Get the department out of their silos, and when you get them into the community, it becomes less mysterious. And then if you get the product team in there,
I'm so sorry, y'all. I promise I am paying attention.
like the example statements you can make in the community and the example things you can share, and you just like make a bullet list for them. That's what I did. They get to see like a customer go like, I love that you added this tool. I asked for it. I'm so happy like you make my life easier because you added this tool. And once we get like, you have to bring again, it's like an active force. We have to bring these departments in, and it's frustrating, but that's the way that these others spaces in our organizations or businesses see it.
Awesome. Just Michelle, this time was super insightful.
Hey, if there's anyone currently in my Discord
Really all over the
who's also watching this, can y'all let them know that my Discord is failing?
that you want to share with those tuning in or watching the recording afterwards. Anything you'd like to say to them?
Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to take this survey. This is such valuable information. I thought it was valuable when I was at previous companies, and I hope it's valuable again for you this year. I hope it was valuable to also meet Michelle, the person that helps us, and just understand.
Oh man,
that
this is
she knows
embarrassing.
as much as we do about this industry. And yeah, I just want to thank you for your presence. I want to thank you for your questions. And I want to thank you for all the energy that you put into, our community professional and the community industry. Because it's been hard this year, but I just love it. We're overall just so committed to the value and the beauty of the work that we do.
Yeah, I'm very similar to Jess. Just thank you for everyone for attending. Thank you everyone for taking the survey. I know we've said this before, but we do this for you. So if you have questions or suggestions or feedback, please pass them along. We would love to make this as relentlessly helpful for you as possible. That's the mission every single year. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Amazing. Well, just as we close, I just pinned our message with the link to Samantha Logan's link, as she'll be hosting an after-event discussion on her Discord. And this recording will be posted on our YouTube channel, and we will also be announcing the 3 winners of the CMX Summit tickets. So please do stay tuned for that. But thank you once again. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. See you next time. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, wonderful. I have it up. It's up. It's running. See, I have proof. All right. So everyone, I am going to stay streaming, but I also want to make sure that we have the ability to just share whatever we want to say. So feel free to come to the network and hangout section. Yeah, we'll get right there. So let's turn on my mic, etc. Can everyone hear me okay? Should be microphone 4. Great. Oh, that's going to be interesting and weird. Let me see if I can't just do... I will need to specially capture the desktop. I guess what we'll do is let me pop a thing here. So we're going to do a feature and then add text. Create new. Okay. Hello, can you hear me? And then I need the actual link. Event details. Share. Copy. Paste. Then make it blue, I guess. Yeah, sure. Why not? Then we are going to reduce its size quite heavily. Bring it over here. There we go. Bam. Okay. Did something happen? CMX Discord. We're in the network and hangout. Ooh, so many people. Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me okay? Make sure settings are okay, I guess. Since no one's saying anything right now. Let's just okay everything for now to make sure that's not a problem. Save. Escape. My text is backwards. Why is the text backwards? I think I might know the reason. Can everyone hear me all right? Oh, cool. So it looks like Dia, I think. Looks like you can hear us okay. I'm going to go ahead and remove this text because it doesn't seem useful at all. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so we are still streaming on YouTube. We are also here on LinkedIn. The event has ended, so as people kind of trickle in, just so you know, it is Discord. I don't know how familiar people are with Discord at the moment, but you'll see up in the top right-hand corner of your screen. Let me go ahead and share mine. You should actually see you should be looking at this right now, and you'll see a bubble over here on the far top right that says show chat. You can now chat in your community chats directly. So hello everyone. So that's how that works. So you can engage with chat. You can also, and this is more standard fare, right? You can select your camera, you can select your mic, and I would absolutely love it if you are all willing to hop on camera with me. And then we'll kind of do some introductions. And I would like for each introduction your name and where you work or what you do, your preferred pronouns if you would like, and also like what was one big takeaway that you actually took from this report. And I guess we can use those takeaways to get started. And for those who are in the chat, keep in mind, you can just access the thing using scms.me/discord, and that will send you an invite to my Discord, and we're all hanging out in the Hangouts chat right now. So many people. Wow. Can't hang out for too long. That's okay, Julia. Stacy, found it. Wonderful. Are you going to need a link to it or anything like that? One thing I can do, let me pop open the LinkedIn stream and I will post it for you directly. Event details, share, edit event link, expire after 6 hours, grant temporary membership, generate a new link, copy that, and here's your link. Wonderful. Awesome. Okay. It's nice to know of this Discord. Yeah, thank you, Julia. Yeah, I try. I will let you know, like, my specialization is more in online community architecture and social science than it is community interactivity. But we have a lot of, like, really amazing community managers here who kind of keep the conversation flowing as best as possible. It's kind of one of those really ironic things where, as good of a community architect as I am, I'm just absolutely horrible at stoking and engaging conversations. But yeah, I highly recommend it. We have this amazing Discord thread run by Pat Cooney, specifically about neurodiverse people as well. So we found it to be a pretty nice bastion, safe space. Hello, everyone. Stacy, I see you found us.
Yes.
Wonderful. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, and I'm clicking buttons to figure out, like, I have Discord, but I've never actually played around in it. So there's
Gotcha.
buttons clicking of me figuring out, okay, wait a minute, how do I make this stop or whatever. So don't mind me.
That's fair.
Clicking in the background.
No worries. Totally get it. So yeah, I guess the first things first is I would love it if you could introduce yourself and what you might do, and then one big takeaway that you had for the report, and we can probably use that as a launch point to discuss it.
All right, so I guess we'll talk. So my name is Stacey Stringfellow. I'm based out of Dallas, Texas. I am a community manager. Currently looking for my next role. Previously, I worked at companies like Meta and WW in community management. And with the report, I was really anxious to see it because I'd actually helped fill out the survey. And one of the things that I found like the most interesting was the demographics of who are community professionals. The demographics of like who identifies, and I think it was like what 60 something percent or 69% white, 11% Hispanic, Latinx, and then like 6% Black. And as someone who's identifies as a Black female, it was just very interesting and just a reality of what I know I've seen in the space. And I know in the
Hmm.
CMX chat, someone had wanted to ask a question about, they were just wondering why those demographics were the way that they were. Why are there more women who are involved in community versus men, or why are there more people who identify as white? And I guess I just thought that was very interesting. I know that these communities exist, but are maybe we not in the professional space, and that's why we're not feeling, we're not showing up in that way or whatever. So that
Yeah.
was just something I found really interesting.
Yeah, and I think I did manage to find it. Sorry, I struggled with finding the right page, but it's this statement here. Do you have specific goals related to diversity, equity, and inclusion in your community, or was it the demographics raw?
It was the demographics raw. And
Oh,
then
okay.
the DEI was also interesting, but and I commented on that as well because I know for one of my communities, an example is the Broke Black Girl, which is a community dedicated to bridging the gap between Black women and financial education. So in that space, it's weird to say we don't think about DEI because we have that niche community and we're looking
Hmm.
for a specific demographic of people. So it's not meant to be for everyone. But then the more I think about it, there still needs to be a level of inclusion within that niche community. So yes, you
Yeah.
are a woman. Yes, you are Black. But are we really inclusive of other things, identities that you could have? So that made me really think about that after I saw that. But no, the what I was really referring to was that demographic breakdown of like just raw, like who are community professionals at Slack.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I got that for how do you identify and what's your racial or ethnic identity.
Yep.
I I have something that I do want to say on this because when we look at the Edelman Trust Barometer, which is the biggest survey that I cover on the channel, right? It's this gauge of how businesses on an international scale are viewed as trustworthy in relation to its other areas, so government and education. And it's getting, on average, about 12,000 participants. And I think it was an average of 1,200 participants per country. So they have like specific countries that they target so that they have that data available. And I think that for CMX, which has like 17 million subscribers on YouTube and has like a 30,000 person contribution on their channel, for the survey participation to be around what was the methodology report? I think it was like 425 survey recipients, right? I think that in a lot of ways, it might behoove us to try and focus on communities that are not represented in the report. And I think that that DEIB concern is a big, big issue for this. So I wonder if that might be where some of your issues might lie. Is just that those communities didn't take the report.
I think so. I think that's absolutely a possibility. That there are just some communities who exist, but those people who are running those communities aren't aware of CMX or didn't fill out the report. Absolutely a possibility. And
Yeah.
then with that, when you're looking at some of the more professional spaces that we're in, so we're in CMX, we're in and now I'm thinking about all the different Slack channels that I'm in, but you're in these different spaces, and you do start kind of like realizing like, okay, there aren't a lot of people who identify the way that I do or look like me, and then now you're starting to look for a community with those people, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, where are those people at? So there's always that niche that's there. So I look forward to next year in the future of trying to get more people to recognize one that they are a community professional because some people don't think that they are, right? They don't realize
Yeah.
like, yeah, you've been running a group for or a community for years, an amazing community, but you don't think of yourself as this is my job or this is really something that I do. But hopefully being able to get those other demographics as people to see their worth and what they're doing and be able to contribute in these meaningful ways.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And speaking as an LGBTQ member, the other side of this coin as well, where it's like, I want to make sure that there is an appropriate representation of community managers in these reports, but I also want to make sure that that representation isn't stepping over people's ability to identify in any specific way. Because I 100%, knowing even as a trans woman, I absolutely would have marked that female 69% amount. And yet, when you look at the non binary amount at 2%, you start to wonder, okay, where exactly do these lines actually live? And did they actually go out and contact LGBTQ organizations to take this survey? Because, especially when it comes to advocacy communities, stadium communities, you're not going to get the appropriate amount of data, but you still need to reach out to those communities and receive what you can, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fully agree. Fully agree. We're here everywhere. We're all here, right? We're all here somewhere, right? Whatever you identify as, you're here. We need to be. We all need to be counted in some way. We need to get that information. So, like I said, hopefully, and maybe next year, and like just in the future, that more people are able to really report who they are, and we're able to really get an idea of what other community professionals are out there, and really get their insights. Because I would love to see it, like for those
Absolutely.
communities, those support communities, like LGBTQ support communities, and those advocacy groups. We know that they exist. We know
Yeah,
that they're
exactly.
there. I want to hear from you. Like I want to hear what you have to
Yeah.
say. I'm ready.
Yeah. And kind of harkening back to what you said about like there are a lot of community managers who don't view themselves as community managers. I like that we're getting away from the language of community manager into a community professional or a community builder, because you don't need to be employed in a community profession to be a community builder. And I think we're losing a lot of people who view that gray area where it's like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm an advocate and a YouTuber and an influencer, but I'm not a community builder. I just have an audience. And it's like, oh no, you absolutely qualify. You are a community influencer creating a stadium community that's focused on this thing you really care about. And if we could get your opinion on that, perhaps you don't want to mark yourself as a community manager, but you're still a part of the industry.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I also wanted to bring up, while we're on the demographic section, I think that there's this specific interesting portion as well. I've gone ahead and put this on the screen. What country do you live in? Respondents come from 25 countries most commonly. And you can see that they just kind of cut it off at 2%. Anything under 1% did not display. But one of the things that kind of concerns me is that Australia has its own big bastion of community practices. Swarm Conference and the Community Managers Association. I feel like this survey really needs to reach into those bigger areas that are outside of the United States, if we're really going to get a good understanding of the health and well-being of our industry.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely
Yeah.
agree. Like I said, it is interesting to see India at 2% or Brazil, Colombia at 3%. And again, looking just in different communities that I'm in, I'm seeing people who would ideally be in that demographic who, like, I'm seeing so many, I'm like, okay, well, wait, 2%, that can't be right. So again, it's are we really digging into those areas outside of the United States to get their input?
Yeah, absolutely agree. Um, Anyone else, either on the stream or here on Discord, what is one really, really big takeaway that you want to take? And of course, Stacy, if you have another big takeaway that you'd like to discuss, we can also pop that in as well. We have plenty of time.
Oh no, I'm happy to be quiet and let somebody else talk for a while.
Yeah. Looks like we have Dia here. Don't want to put you on the spot in any way, shape, or form. But one thing that I did actually want to mention, we brought it up as well, was the skewed salary data. I'm curious to get people's opinions on this because we are currently in a country with mass inflation, and the report also stated that 12% of community managers had been removed from their position at some point in the past 2 years. And now we're in an industry where we're struggling to prove our value and also getting more money for our roles. So I'm very interested and curious to hear people's opinions on this particular slide, because now it's 2023, right? Inflation happened. People are looking at six-figure incomes for their work from 80%. That's a pretty standard jump. What are your thoughts? Oh, it looks like we lost Amanda. Stacy, do you want to comment on this at all, or I know that you're relatively new to the industry, so.
I'm sorry, my someone in the background was talking to me, so I missed the
Oh no, you're good.
I heard you say, does anybody have any thoughts? And I'm like, uh-oh, wait a minute.
No, I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on the inflation of the community management income, because I think that there are some areas where this might be a bit skewed, but I don't know. What are your thoughts?
As someone who is currently a job seeker, and I'm looking at salaries every day in the U.S. of what is being offered for community experience, this definitely looks a little skewed to me. As in my last role, it looked right, but just what's available right now, I'm not seeing these numbers. There's got to be definitely some salary negotiation going on, or maybe a larger company. But right now, the way that the industry is, like, I mean, simply put, look on LinkedIn and try to find a job. You're not going to see these numbers.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, and especially with how difficult it is for us to prove our role and prove our worth when it comes to monetary gains. I'm really, really surprised to see a community associate at 100,000. Primarily because here in Colorado, at least, that is not a number that we receive for a community associate's role. Even as a community architect, the best I've really seen is 95 pushing that 100K. So I am also wondering if this might be skewed because of the low feedback performance, you know? Yeah. Other considerations, either on stream, you can comment below on YouTube or on LinkedIn. And if you want to, you can also join us. The link is in the chat for you to actually join us live on this Discord Hangout channel. We'd love to have you. That said, did you have something else that you wanted to bring up? This is a fun one. So how important are each of these aspects to your job? How satisfied are you? I found it hilarious that the actual conversation just kind of glossed over it because it almost feels like a fact now for flexible work schedules at an 80% rate. I think that that is quite considerable, and it almost feels concrete now that workers have just decided that this flexible work schedule is going to be required. Looks like we lost Stacy as well, but that's okay. We only have about 4 more minutes or so anyway. Oh, welcome back.
Okay, I'm back.
No worries. We only have about 4 more minutes or so. Is there any other big takeaways that you wanted to discuss?
For me, no. Not at this time. Like I said, I would love to hear someone else, any opinions or things that they had about the report, any takeaways that they had, or
Yeah.
just anything that was like, man, this is, I need to work on that, or I don't agree with that. I would love to hear that from someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. if anyone does have anything, I am kind of taking a look at the chat. But otherwise, one thing that I can say is on the YouTube channel, we are actually going to publish a full review. I don't know when it's going to be out. It's going to be within the next 3 weeks, definitely. But we're actually going to publish a full review of the report with your feedback as well. So thank you so much for joining for the live stream and agreeing to come on and talk about it after the fact. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for hosting this. Just really appreciate it and giving me my first time to actually interact on Discord server. So this was fun, and now I'm going to play around with the platform a little bit more and get more acquainted with it.
Absolutely, 100%. And I mean, if you do want any assistance or anything like that, like, let me know. I'm actually in the process of completely revamping the onboard process because I'm going to be adding some paid layers to the community. But in addition to that, I'm trying to add a whole bunch of other features and make the walkthrough and sign up a little bit easier. So I'd love to hear your input and opinion on the onboarding process.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you so much to everyone on YouTube and LinkedIn. Remember that we are going to be publishing a full review on this video that includes your feedback here in the Discord channel. So be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel in order to get notified of that video coming up. I would absolutely love to hear your feedback on the report. Again, in the description of this very live, you'll actually see a link to the report for you to process through it, figure out what's going on for yourself, and then hopefully we'll have some really good feedback and input that we can use in order to change, truth be told, the entire community industry. I'm very excited about this report. If you are interested in the other reports that we've covered, I just published the Edelman's Trust Barometer report for 2023, which is huge, and it's all about hyper-localization in business. And then we are going to have a few more reports coming up as soon as Orbit publishes the Constellation report. And then a little bit later on, we're going to be covering the State of Open Source 2023 as well. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you on the recordings and in Discord until our next live. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye. Okay.